Welcome to AZ Cactus Tack. Today I thought it'd be great to share with you my impressions after 2,000 rounds on the Tavor X95. Let's get started. Let's go! March! Let's go! Okay, so where to start? I basically got the Tavor probably about year and a half ago. And I guess the first question is why? You know, you hear and you see on the internet a lot of, oh, bullpups suck, and you know, you need to get an AR-15 and this and that. Well, I already had an AR-15, and I think one of the things I just like to share, my personal opinion, is that, you know, I think you should absolutely make sure you have an AR-15, you know, before you say, hey, this is going to be my primary rifle. For me, it was like I had the AR-15. It's like having the same Playboy for a couple of years, and I was looking for something a little bit different, some type of new experience, and I really just like the overall look and feel, and started to read a little bit more about bullpups and just thought it was really interesting, and I really like the form factor. So I thought that I'd try it, and I was sort of torn between the Hellion and the X95, and I really could have gone either way. I walked into my gun club one day and they happened to have one of these. The whole Gaza thing was just kicking off, and I figured, you know, it's a possibility that it might be a little more challenging to get these, and I decided to get it. So that's what I did, and since that time I put about 2,000 rounds through it. Overall, my initial impression is it's a fantastic rifle. It's extremely reliable. It's a short stroke gas piston, so very reliable in its function. I think I've had maybe 3 malfunctions in that time, and one of those is where I short stroked it. The other 2 are really more magazine related than anything else. So definitely very reliable. In fact, I just cleaned it. I let this thing run way too long past its cleaning cycle, and that's a mistake that I made. So you should definitely clean it a lot more than that, although you don't have to clean it excessively. So I cleaned it for the first time, got it all straightened up and back to working with it, and I'm going to start competing with it, and I'm looking forward to that. But all in all, my initial impressions is, yes, it is not an AR-15. My recommendation would be, if you're deciding between an AR-15 and this, get your fighting rifle, get the rifle of last resorts, get the rifle if shit hits the fan, the AR-15. You know, that's where you should start. And as you look to broaden your palate, broaden your taste, I would say that the bullpup could be something that might be on the menu. So let's get into a little more detail. I'll first start taking you through sort of everything that I have done with this, and after that, then we'll talk about the likes and the dislikes. Okay, so in the Garand thumb style, we'll go sort of tip to a butt here. Basically, I'm running a Huxworks brake on it. I do run it suppressed from time to time, not all the time, but we'll talk about the ability to suppress these and some of the pros and cons. I have a Atlas bipod on it, just through an M-LOK attachment. This is just getting ready for some competitive events. Probably, you know, you don't need it. Probably a little too much on it. I've got a Magpul, for lack of a better description, shark fin on it, just to help me index and give me something that's small and lightweight. Doesn't have a big long form factor to stick down and grab shit, but something that's short and tight just to enable me to index where I want to. Yeah, this is just a sling attachment and a wrap. One of the things that I did do is I added a Panther Arms, or not Panther Arms, but a Panther Products pistol grip on it. When you get this, it's going to be a cutlass design, which is this. It looks like a sword, right? The hilt of a sword. And it doesn't have a trigger guard on it. This is all just open. And I found that as I was pulling it in and out of my truck and things like that, that, things were absolutely getting caught up in here. Not that that's a big deal because I'm safety conscious and I make sure before I throw it in the back of the truck it's not loaded, safety's on, things like that. But at the end of the day, I really just wanted a little more protection around the trigger itself. And so I did some research, and IWI, the company that makes this, they do provide or give you an option to buy a grip with a trigger guard, but it doesn't come in this cutlass style. And to me, the big design aspect, the thing that makes the whole sort of thing work, is this cutlass design. So I found a small company called Panther Products. They make a couple of accessories, and I decided to go ahead and get it. I've been running this for the last, say, 500, 600 rounds, and I really like it. I haven't missed the OEM grip at all in the least. It's very affordable, about 60 bucks, and something that you should, consider if you want a little more protection here. Um, the other thing I've added on here is I've added different safeties. This is a safety from Manticore Arms. It gives a little bit more of an extended throw, which just makes it easier for me to manipulate. I have pretty short hands, and I need all the advantage that I can get when operating the safety. And so I went ahead and replaced the safety actually on both sides. Coming down, we'll talk about it a little bit more, but one of the negative aspects of the Tavor system is it is gassy. And so a lot of the gas escapes out of these ports here. So when you get the rifle, this will be open, and so will the other one. And basically what that enables you to do is, from an ambidextrous, point of view, is you can switch, which side you want the shells to eject from, which is really nice, particularly in such a small form factor, to be able to have that. But also, as a result, you've got a port that's spewing gas out. And so I'm a right-handed shooter. The shell will go out through the right-hand side, which just left all this gas coming up and hit me right in the face. So I got a gasket, again, from Manticore Arms, and put this gasket in, and really did a nice job being able to seal that. The other thing that I did here is on the OEM, this rubberized sort of butt stock pad is a lot larger. And again, from Manticore Arms, I went ahead and I got this sort of a streamlined. It's still within 16 inches. Doesn't make it so that you have to get a tack stamp or anything like that. It's just a little more streamlined, and just like the overall look. And it helped improve the throw on this particular rifle for me. Looking at the optics, I'm running a Holosun AEMS and a Holosun magnifier on it. Not too much to say about that. We'll go ahead and we'll flip it around here. Again, it is a safe and clear rifle, guys. I checked it prior. Okay, so I'm running a Surefire light. Not sure the particular brand on it. I think it might be a Scout, and just running that up to a pressure pad that I have up top. Again, I got another safety from Manticore Arms. Again, just a little bit more of an extended throw. And again, this is a pretty ambidextrous rifle, as much as possible. That it can be in this form factor. And again, this ejection port is left open. The other area where gas comes out is right at the top here, and I just grabbed a pick rail cover and put that over, and that really helps eliminate it as much as possible. The other thing that I've done is everyone will talk about bullpup triggers and how much they suck. Honestly, yeah, I mean, compared to a trigger on an AR-15, yeah, they're definitely not as a good, because when you're pulling this trigger, it's actually, activating a lever. That your hammer is actually down here. There's actually like a hammer pack or a trigger pack that has the hammer, and then this, rod, will come in here and will release it. So, you've got this throw from the trigger all the way there, and that certainly is not the best type of setup. But all in all, from my experience, when I got this trigger, pulled it out of the box, I was expecting something horrific, and it really wasn't that bad. I did go ahead. Geisley sells a actual trigger itself, and it sells a trigger pack, which goes in here. You know, you pop this pin out. There's another pin on the other side here that comes out, I think, and you can. Well, no, sorry, that's these two pins here, right here. You pop that out, and that will drop your trigger pack. And so, consequently, yeah. You know, I got the trigger pack from Geisley. I put that in, and quite honestly, I don't know that you really need to replace the trigger. You can actually just replace the trigger pack, and there's a marked improvement. But if you want to go ahead and replace the trigger, you certainly can. And Geisley also sells one, and I went ahead and did it. In hindsight, I probably just would have focused on the pack. Okay. So I think that that's everything. That I have done to this particular rifle. I don't think there's anything else. So then we'll talk a little bit about the operation. Okay, the mode of operation, really, really simple. Your slide release is roughly where you'd find it on your AR. The bolt release is really what's, I think, the most different. You know, your bolt release is down here. To set it, I like to prop the rifle up against me and apply pressure and pull this down. So there's a little, you can see that right there. That's your bolt release. So again, I sort of hold it against myself, put it down like that. There's other ways that people do it. That's sort of how I do it. I just, you know, like to apply some pressure, you know, holding it with my left hand and then being able to pull down like that. So anyway, we'll go ahead and put a mag in. And again, the magazine well is down here, okay? That is a little bit different from what you might be used to. And there we go. So then you'll chamber it and you're ready to go. One of the maybe negative things is I'm gonna say it's maybe not impossible, but it's really hard to check to see if you have a round in the chamber. This thing doesn't really let you pull back and check it. If you pull back and you put it forward, it'll still be open and it won't work. So maybe if you move it back really fast and hard, that might work. I've never been super successful with it. So, you know, checking to see if you've got a round in the chamber, a little bit hard to do, I find, on this type of system here. So let's go ahead, we'll pop a couple of rounds. Okay, so I'm just gonna show you how I go about getting the rifle ready. Just double check, make sure there's no round in the chamber. Okay, no round in the chamber, so I'll pull the charging handle back. I'll apply pressure against my shoulder. I'll pull the bolt release catch down. And now we have this ready to go. Bolt is open on the other side. We'll just go ahead and we'll take a mag, pop that in, and then to release the bolt, you just press back on this catcher. And that's it. She is ready to rock and roll. So just pop a round or two down and we'll do a mag change. And again, bolt held open. On safe, and we're ready to load another mag. So yeah, straight up, what you'll find is this operation right here, and I'm certainly not proficient on it. That's to me the biggest difference with the AR-15 is it's a lot easier just to feed your magazine up by your slide release area, your bolt release area, feeding it right there. It's a lot easier. You can see whatever chest rig or armor you guys are wearing, you've got to come back and then you've got to find it. Sometimes you can get a little lost and then you'll eventually find it. You'll be ready to go. But that would say is the thing that you really have to train around and train for and getting that down. So that is a little bit different. And I would say, in my opinion, maybe a little bit more cumbersome than working with the standard sort of AR configuration or the manual of operations. But at the end of the day, the more you work with it, the more comfortable that you'll get with it. And if, you know, again, with everything, your training will help you to become very proficient with this operating system. Okay, so we'll just do a couple of drills here just to talk about some of the operations with it. I'll share some of my comments and, you know, getting this thing up and the overall like form factor. So let's go ahead and what we'll do is down range here, but we're at 21 feet. We'll look to put 10 rounds in that left-hand circle, and I'll just sort of talk through the sights and everything else that I'm seeing. So, okay, we got a round chambered. Let's go here. So right off the bat, I'm holding the sight like well above that black circle, and as I'm coming up, it's even a little hard to see the red dot. I really got to bring my head down. I almost wish there was a nice like cheek wheel here, but if I'm just bringing it up, that sight's way up here in my sight picture, and I got to really make sure that I'm getting down low on it. So I already have these things up pretty high. I'm already having a pretty, you know, high sight over bore. That may be just something that might not be as optimal for some of you. I'm still playing with the sights. I may get a little bit of a riser, but I just wanted to sort of like mention that. Not that it's a big deal. I just got to make sure that as the rifle's coming up, I'm really getting down on it. I'm really getting my cheek into this buttstock here. So just do a couple of more. Magnification works fine, and you know, that would be the only thing. The overall form factor I really love is just really tight and compact. You can really get this thing into your shoulder, and you know, just really an overall nice feel. So again, you know, based on what I've read, you know, this rifle was really designed more for urban type of combat, which they have a lot over there in Israel. And you know, having a 16-inch barrel, which this does, in this type of a form factor, so you get a lot of the nice ballistic advantages with that, and yet it's optimal for a CQB type of scenario. I'm not an operator. I'm just letting you guys know what I've you know, read. So it may or may not be. I've never used this thing in a CQB thing. So, but it is very tight. It is great form factor. I think you guys will really love it. You know, when you're getting up and just can really pull that in, control the recoil. One of the things that you guys will feel is it's like a jarring against your jaw, because all of the action is happening within this chamber here. So you'll feel the vibration pretty strongly. You know, the noise is up closer to your ears and things like that. So some people may not like that. It's just something to keep into you know, mind. I actually doesn't matter to me, but it is jarring. It's like a mini love tap every time that you pull the trigger on this thing. But again, the advantages that I have by being able to control the recoil, I just really like. So it really works for me from that sense. All right, so what we'll do is we'll go 5 sets of 2 in that middle, and we'll just see how we do with that. Up through one. I should have brought my timer. Oop. And we'll do a reload, and again, different mode of operation. Certainly a little more cumbersome than going with your mag up here for sure, like you would on the AR-15. So anyway, that's just giving a little bit more. What we'll do now is sort of a little build drill. I'm not great at build drills, but we'll try to put 5 rounds into that rightmost circle there. Okay. And we'll do another 5. Okay, so again, sight over bore, I got to get my sight up higher. But that gives you a sense of, you know, the spread. And I'm definitely not an optimal shooter with this thing, but just something for me to continue to work on, which is why I really like this drill. So overall form factor, super tight. Again, may not like it. I don't know if I'd like the 308 that close, but the 5.56 really doesn't bother me, but there is a little bit of a jarring sensation. The balance is really, really great. I'm holding it with one hand and lightly pressing against my shoulder. All the weight of this particular firearm is in the back. So you can really manipulate it with one hand here. It doesn't need the second arm at all. So we'll even try to fire it. Yep. Pull it off safe. So beautifully balanced for what this is. It's not light. It is somewhat heavy. I'll see if I can find the weight, particularly with all the shit that I have on it. A little bit heavy, and you know, you may or may not like that. But again, I just find it super tight. I love it. And yeah, so it is heavy. In fact, it's heavier than some AR-15s, definitely. So if you're looking for more of a lightweight option, probably not what you're looking for here. But overall, I think most of you, when you're ready to sort of just explore some other form factors, the Tavor X95 is not bad. Okay, so I thought it might be fun to talk a little bit about suppressed and unsuppressed, and just try to give you guys a sense of the actual sound difference. I don't know how good that I'll be able to do that with the setup that I have here, but I thought what we do is fire off a couple of unsuppressed rounds, just get a, you know, see what that sounds like. Then we'll put the suppressor on and we'll fire off a couple of more rounds. Okay, this is unsuppressed. All right, we'll clear the rifle and we'll put the suppressor on. Okay, I'm using a Huxworks 5.56 flow-through can. There is no adjustable gas. I would say probably a pretty big negative on this whole platform. There's no adjustable gas. What I've heard, what I've read, is that if you run a suppressor with that is not, you know, like a high backflow can like this or flow-through, you can beat the shit out of this thing. So Garand Thumb has a pretty good video, I thought, on suppressing this, and he talks about that, and I would direct you to him, you know, to get more of that. So my recommendation is you run a, you know, one of these flow-through cans on it. I don't think you're going to have any issue. So we'll put this on. Okay, and again, it's safe and secure. It's already been checked and cleared. All right, so now we'll do suppressed. Do suppressed. Again, very little gas, to be honest. It's a lot softer shooting. The one thing that I did notice when I was zeroing this and then I put the can on, there is a point of impact shift, or there was for me, almost straight down at the 6 o'clock by a couple of inches. So I would say definitely check your point of impact so that you can adjust for that. But it shoots beautifully with one of these flow-through cans on it. Let's put a couple more rounds and empty out this mag. Okay, locked open. There we are. Anyway, let's go down and then we'll talk a little bit about it and sort of wrap things up. let's talk about likes on the X95. I think the overall form factor of this is definitely probably my number one like. It's super compact. You can pull it in tight. You can move with it. You can turn with it. You can get it up on site quick. It's just great. I really love the form factor. And coupled very closely with form factor is, again, it's a 16-inch barrel. You're getting all of the advantages of your round through that barrel. And if you can believe it, yeah, this is 16 inches. Again, the power of the bullpup format or the operating system is most of the action, all your action is back here. And then, your barrel will start probably around here somewhere. And then that's how they get your 16 inches. You don't have to get a tax stamp. If you want something compact, something short. So overall, I think from that standpoint, really strong like. In the context of bullpups, I think its mode of operations is great. I mean, it's really nice that they've got, the magazine release where you'd find it on an AR-15. Again, once I've added this Panther Products, well and handle here, I really like this. It still gives me the cutlass look. And the only challenge might be where like the mag well is, but all in all, your bolt your bolt is up here, easy to get to, easy to operate, and great from that standpoint. Another like, it is ambidextrous. Okay, so you've got safety releases on both sides. You are able to change your ejection port. Downside is your bolt release, that's where it is. So you're not able to really do a lot with that. You've got two safeties, and again, I've extended these just to give me maximum throw on them. Next like for me is you're able to mount enough accessories. Again, you're dealing with a really small form factor here. You're able to mount enough accessories that make it pretty functional. I've got a light, I've got a pressure pad, I've got a bipod here. Now, one thing that I did do that I forgot to mention when I was going over it the first time is I did add this M-Lock for grip here, or this rail. This was not OEM. So this is done by a company, I think, called Black Label or LBL or something along those lines. I was able to get this. They actually have a version with a bipod that's built in. I didn't get that one, but adding this M-Lock rail has given me a lot of versatility. I added a little bit of pick rail right up here up front. Again, that's something you can buy from them. So you can sort of really outfit this small form factor in a lot of different ways. And I think the third like for me is, or probably fourth like, is just the overall look in the design. I think they've done a really good job with that. It just looks like a cool firearm. I like that. I appreciate the design. So I think they've done a really good job as far as the bullpup form factor goes. And then rounding up the other like, I think it is very reliable. This is a very reliable system. You can see, here when the bolt catch is closed, this is a pretty sealed system, the whole way. So again, operating in a desert environment like I operate in, when you go to clean this, it's not overly dirty. And as long as I waited all those rounds that I pushed it, surprisingly, the gas piston was probably the dirtiest part. Everything else was not that bad. So I would say the reliability after 2,000 rounds, I had a couple of malfunctions, but again, I think one of those was induced by me. I short stroked it. And again, I think the others were mag related. But other than that, no problems at all. Very sealed system. Won't have any trouble there. All right, so let's talk about the dislikes. Dislikes, again, I think, the weight. If you guys are looking for something that's close to one of these super lightweight AR-15s, this is not it. It is a little bit heavy in terms of, when you look at it, you think it's going to be light. It's actually not. It's pretty stout. I'll make sure I find the weight and put that somewhere in the vid. And I would say the other sort of dislike is, this can be a little jarring down here. When you got it up close against your cheek, and every time, a round goes off, you're definitely feeling it. It's like a little bit of a love tap, letting you know that it's there. But again, not overly bad. Some people don't like having, your chamber back here. They think if the gun explodes, obviously bad things will happen. But I think anytime a firearm explodes, bad things are going to happen. So we don't want to do that. The other major dislike is no adjustable gas. So that really limits your suppressor options. I was able to suppress it. I am using a flow through can. Those tend to be a lot more expensive. And not having a adjustable gas system on this, I think, is just a huge miss. So if they ever come out with the next version, which I'm sure they will, they'll probably have that. And that would be the only miss. However, that being said, I was able to suppress it, and shoots great. There was a little bit of a point of impact shift for me when I tested it. So we have that. Sort of third, it's not a big dislike for me, but I'll mention it because I know a lot of people are not going to like it. But that's the sort of your operations back here. Your mag well is in the back, your bolt release is in the back, and that does take a lot of getting used to. Um, you have to definitely train for that. I'm definitely not proficient enough at it, and I've had this thing for a while. I've shot it a lot, and it's still, it can be a pain in the ass, to be honest. So it's just not as simple and as elegant as your AR-15 operating system. Probably the biggest dislike I have on this particular firearm is it tends to be gassy. So right out of the box, you take it out to the range, you shoot it, you're going to notice gas. So I've had to mitigate that because it just wasn't that great of a shooting experience for me. The shooting experience on a firearm means a lot to me personally, and this thing was just gassier than I would like. So to do that, I put in a gasket. Went to Manticore Arms. I sealed up the left side ejection port, and then I got a pick rail cover right up here. That company, Panther Products, also makes a solution that can go over this pick rail and cut off the gas. But I just found a everyday cover, and it cuts it down like 80%. So with those two items, I would say that really makes it a much more pleasant shooting experience for me. So again, the gassiness is another big sort of dislike for me. I'll say it, but it wasn't that big of a deal for me. The trigger, I know a lot of you guys are really into the trigger experience. I'm not, but when this thing comes out of the box, I think if you compare it to other bullpups, I think you'll find that the trigger is probably among the best. I went ahead and I got the whole Geisley trigger pack and the Geisley trigger. My recommendation is you really just need the pack. Just adding that pack in really improve the trigger right off the get-go. It's super easy to install the pack. It's all, compact. You just knock out a couple of pins, you put the pack up, you put the pins back in, you're done. I mean, it's Sesame Street simple, and I am not a mechanically inclined guy. I suck at anything you have to do it yourself. I was able to do it. So I know anyone can make that happen. So again, I guess that feeds into the final sort of dislike is you do have to put some money into an expensive platform. I think these guns run anywhere from $1,600 to $2,100 for the 5.56. This is chambered in 5.56, if I didn't mention that already. And so you've got to put a little bit of money in it, just like the SCAR. If you shoot the SCAR, you got to pop a little bit of cash. So getting the gasket covers, getting the extended safety. I added a M-block rail here. Those were some things that, to me, really improved the experience dramatically and made it a lot more agile as far as the platform goes. So with that, I'll wrap it up. I'll just say overall, over 2,000 rounds on using this thing and really working with it. I have come to enjoy it. It certainly has its limitations and its weaknesses, but it certainly has its strengths and enjoyable moments. So if you're looking at a bullpup, I would certainly consider the Tavor X95. And again, my disclaimer is this is a rifle I bought with my own money. There is no other influence coming in. No one gave me the rifle, anything like that. It's just me sharing my experience with all of you. So if you have a Tavor X95, please comment and share your experience down below. Would love to hear it. And with that, we'll sign out. Thanks a lot for joining me on the Tavor X95 2000 rounds. And we'll see you next time.